Hello everyone, today is 3rd of January. Now it's about 11 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day and for a year of 2025, and there are quite a few very important developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. And I will start with this report from RIA Novosti that Russian air defense systems on duty during the nighttime and the early hours of this morning intercepted 22 Ukrainian drones that were launched to strike deep into Russian territory. Drones were intercepted over 6 different regions. At this point, no reports about casualties on the ground as a result of this attack, or more or less significant damage. When it comes to regions that were targeted, these regions are Bryansk region, Oryol region, Rostov region, Belgorod region, Volgograd region, and the Lipetsk regions. If any update on this topic, of course, I will share additional information during the day on my Telegram channel and in the next updates. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian air defense systems intercepted Su-27. This news broke yesterday first, and so one less plane in hands of Kyiv regime. I wonder how many of these Soviet era Su-27s Kyiv regime still has left. Not that many, I guess. Also interesting news that according to TASS news agency, during the previous 24 to 48 hours, Kyiv regime lost over 580 military personnel in the Kursk salient area. Russian forces, many of you noticed, of course, that Russian forces seems like beginning final push to liberate Kursk salient area from invading forces of the Kyiv regime and the NATO mercenaries. More and more settlements being liberated right now. Enemy is holding to a Suja and several villages around it, and that's about it. And I guess it will take maybe months also, and I guess Kursk salient area will be fully liberated. And when it comes to this direction where Russia is conducting counter-terrorist operation, we have an update from Defense Ministry, according to which overall casualty number of the Kyiv regime in this direction is closing to 47,000 military personnel. Yesterday, TASS news agency reported that casualty number was more than 46,400, and I'm quite sure in previous 24 hours Russian armed forces managed to neutralize another at least several hundred military personnel of Kyiv regime, and also number of NATO mercenaries in this direction. As I said many times before, entire army that was prepared by NATO, equipped by NATO to conduct this invasion into Kursk region was decimated by Russian forces, and whatever remnants of the initial dozen of brigades that participated in this invasion are still in the Kursk salient area will be decimated, as I said, in next couple of weeks time. RIA Novosti is also reporting that during the 2024 in general, according to Russian Defense Ministry's data, Kyiv regime lost more than 590,000 military personnel killed and wounded. So huge number obviously, and because the Russian Defense Ministry is quite conservative in its estimations, I guess real number might be even higher, significantly higher than 590,000, and that's why Western ruling class is so desperate and demanding from Kyiv regime to start mobilizing younger people from 18 to 25 also, and I guess that's exactly what is going to happen, because Russian Foreign Intelligence Service reporting that US once again demanded from Kyiv regime mobilization age to be lowered up to 18 years, and according to Russian intelligence decision basically already been made by Kyiv regime, and in near future that's exactly what is going to happen. Zelensky and his criminal associates will start forcefully mobilize 18, 19-year-old kids to send them to the front line to sacrifice basically for their mercantile interests and for geopolitical agenda of their Western ruling class. Also interesting news that during the 2024, Russian armed forces conducted more than 1,500 long-range precise strikes on military and logistics infrastructure of the Kyiv regime, on military targets. Quite a significant number, isn't it? Especially if you keep in mind that a number of high-ranking officials in the West, namely Ursula Bursula washing machine, for example, and many others, were, openly, without any shame, were stating that Russia is running out of manpower, Russia running out of weapons, including missiles. Russian economy is in tatters, and in order to build some missiles, Russia is removing chips from some washing machines and stuff. You all remember this story, isn't it? And well, don't let Ursula Bursula to read this news. She might have a heart attack. So yes, more than 1,500 long-range strikes were conducted during the 2024 by Russian armed forces, and if conflict this year continues for entire year, then I guess this number will at least double, I guess, because production of the weapons in Russia is definitely on probably highest level since the Soviet era, right? Also, dear friends, interesting news from Forbes. A TASS news agency paid attention to article in Forbes which says that yet another brigade of Kyiv regime that was trained and armed by NATO, namely 155th Mechanized Brigade, actually started dissolving even before this brigade reached the front line. And according to Forbes, 17 from 5,800 military personnel that's supposed to be in this brigade, and real number is unknown. No one knows exactly how many people were in this brigade. What is known for sure is that about 1,700 left brigade even before they were deployed to the front line. And according to Forbes, even though this 155th Brigade, which was trained by French militaries, even though this brigade is equipped with German Leopard 2 tanks, French Caesar howitzers, and other French-made military equipment, including light tanks and stuff. Despite all these weapons that basically NATO provided to this brigade, they are performing extremely poorly. This brigade was eventually deployed to Pokrovsk direction and are not really capable to do much, especially because of their low morale and high level of desertions from their units. I'm not at all surprised. I'm only paying attention to this news because there was a huge media campaign, isn't it, in the West, in France, in Kyiv controlled territory about exactly this brigade, 155th. And there was some, statements that this brigade gonna be some new elite brigade of the Kyiv regime, and well, in reality, well, it's something completely different is happening on a line of contacts. So that's been said, let's continue with some more news now. And well, unfortunately, as you all know, during this New Year celebrations on 1st January, there was a wave of terrorist attacks in the U.S. In different areas, and one of the terrorist attacker had happened near Trump Hotel. That was Las Vegas, or where that Cybertruck attack happened, man. Anyways, what we know now is that I know there was in Dallas terrorist, or in not in Dallas, but in Las Vegas, is not it? Terrorist attack. There was terrorist attack in New Orleans, I believe, and in one another city. But anyways, some additional news is coming in about the Cybertruck explosion that happened next to this Trump hotel. And this person who is suspect seems like was a decorated US military, Green Beret, by the way, from Special Forces. And he also served in Ukraine. So the suspect in the Tesla Cybertruck explosion on New Year's Day, identified as a Master Sergeant Matthew Allen Leibsberger, was a veteran US Special Forces operative who not only deployed to Afghanistan twice, but also served in Ukraine. Associated Press reported, citing the US Army, the blast outside of Trump's International Hotel in Las Vegas. As I said, yes, one of the attacks happened in Las Vegas, and this is the one. On Wednesday, that terrorist attack left 7 people with minor injuries. Leibsberger died at the scene from allegedly self-inflicted gunshot wound before the truck exploded, according to Clark County Sheriff Kevin McMahill. The U.S. Army confirmed on Thursday that Leibsberger enlisted in 2006 and had served with the 10th Special Forces Group based in Stuttgart, Germany since 2012. His military career included multiple deployments to Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Georgia, and the Congo, earning him numerous awards, including 5 Bronze Stars. The U.S. Army also confirmed, according to AP, that Leibsberger was serving in Ukraine at some point, although the exact timing is unclear. So maybe this person was, indoctrinated in Eurofascistic or some ideology, and because Western propaganda of the neoliberals and Western ruling class is now focused on Trump, that he is not so keen to support this Ukrainian fascists and the Nazis. Maybe this former military was trying to demonstrate his disagreement with Trump's policies, potential policies, although no one really knows what Trump's policy is going to be. He might escalate with Russia, actually, right? But probably this person was indoctrinated in Eurofascistic ideology by propaganda of the Western ruling class, and he committed this crime, and eventually, he was he paid the high price for this terrorist attack. And by the way, when it comes to US militaries and their criminal activity, this information I shared a few minutes ago on my Telegram, that 45 people per year approximately with US military background committing extremist crimes since 2011. New research data shows this marks an alarming jump from 7 persons per year over the two previous decades. The University of Maryland study found that the military service is the single strongest individual predictor of becoming a mass casualty offender. So, well, unfortunately, it seems like U.S. military is a breeding ground for all sorts of terrorists now, because some extremist people joining army, gaining some training, right? Knowledge how to operate with different weapon systems, how to work with their weapons, explosives, and then they are committing crime using this knowledge that they receive in the military. So this is definitely a big issue. This is definitely a big issue, especially if you take into account how many militaries US has, right? And I remind you, dear friends, that another terrorist attack that took place in US on this New Year's celebrating days. It was also on 1st of January, if I remember correctly. In that terrorist attack, suspect, according to some reports, suspect allied himself with the ISIS terrorists. Although number of media outlets actually are doubting these reports about his ISIS connections and even blaming FBI and other security services in US for spreading misinformation. I don't know what is the truth. I was not there. I'm not an investigator, but it is definitely sad that this New Year's celebration days was saddened by this wave of terrorist attacks that happened in New York. In US. Maybe it will happen in New York also. Who knows? I just said Dallas also mentioned. Maybe in Dallas will happen something. Who knows, man? There are so many crazies everywhere, right? So another news, dear friends, that South Korean military units are blocking police from arresting impeached president of this republic. So officers from South Korea's Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, CIO, attempted to execute an arrest warrant for impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol early Friday, but were blocked by military personnel serving under their presidential security service, according to Yonhap news agency. The incident unfolded at the Yoon's residence, where the military units presumed to be from the 55th Security Brigade was reportedly deployed to block the warrant against Yoon, escalating tensions surrounding this unprecedented action against the sitting president Yoon Yap wrote on Friday. Thousands of supporters gathered near Yoon's home, complicating the arrest attempts. On Thursday, around 30 protesters were forcibly removed after breaking through a police barrier and clashing with officers, as reported by Yoon Yap news agency. This morning, I also read the news that these law enforcement officers are stopping their attempts to arrest impeached president for now, for time being, but it is really, really strange and definitely brings stain on South Korea, the political image, that some military units are distracting work of law enforcement agencies. What the hell? Those military should be arrested and put in jail forever, for life, right? Because that's a treason. Who gives militaries any right to do anything, really, without an order from elected officials? And that former president, Yoon Suk Yeol, cannot give any orders to anybody because he is impeached. He is no longer president, right? He should be arrested and put in jail for crimes that he committed against South Korea. South Korean people. As simple as that. So as time goes by, I'm more and more surprised how fragile and unpredictable and weak, really, South Korea actually is, and South Korean political system, because this nonsense, I mean, you might expect something like that from kind of banana republic, right? When no one knows who is in charge, really. But I mean, in my personal opinion, South Korea, in my understanding, South Korea was a country with more predictability and better political class. I was wrong. I was actually wronger. It's a shame on South Korea, by the way, what is happening there, because it seems like this country is actually banana republic, rich one, technologically advanced one, but still banana republic somehow, which is strange, but it is what it is, man. Militaries are blocking police to do their job. I mean, really? Unbelievable, man. Let's see how the situation developed there. RT is also reporting that, Ukraine, as you know, dear friends, Ukraine ended the transit of Russian gas through its territory to the EU from 1st of January. And we have information that gas prices in Europe reached maximum since the October of 2023. And, Maria Zakharova, official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, commented on this topic, and she said basically that main beneficiary of this action of the Kyiv regime is Washington and US energy companies that will benefit on behalf of European customers, right? Which is, technically speaking, is true, although I have some doubts that US energy companies have that much potential to further increase production of LNG, because even though this fracking revolution bring US on the map of one of the main, as one of the main energy producer countries, according to some reports that I see, I mean, they are reaching their limits with this fracking, right? They destroy environment in dozens of states in US, where people not just cannot drink water, by the way, but in some cases this gas is linking through water pipelines somehow. Man, I saw some videos when people are just bringing lighter to tap water, to the tap, and it burns, right? There is gas there. And all this stuff, all this damage to environment done by fracking, right? It is US's business. If they want to drill entire country, then okay, it's their country, right? But according to some experts, this fracking revolution had it already, and limits are about to be reached, and there is not really that much potential further to increase production of their gas and eventually, liquefied, right, and sell it to whatever markets, EU, global south, or so therefore, yes, Washington may be main beneficiary of this decision of the regime to not prolong a contract with the Gazprom, but main loser is ultimately, in my personal opinion, of course, Europe, EU member states, and Ukraine itself, because they're gonna lost money that they were receiving from transit of Russian gas, at least, and we are talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions, by the way. Anyways, let's go through this news. Ukraine's decision to block the transit of the Russian gas only benefits the US at the expense of Washington's supposed allies in Europe. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has said, and I agree with her, she's absolutely correct on that. Kyiv refused to extend the contract with the Gazprom past the end of 2024, effectively cutting off the flow of Russian natural gas to EU member states such as Austria, Hungary, and Slovakia. The move also deprived Ukraine of transit fees worth almost 1 billion. Well, that's quite amount of money. Although, by the way, I can understand that Kyiv regime no longer cares about 1 billion, because look what is happening, by the way. in Washington, in Brussels. I mean, the money is raining for Kyiv regime right now, isn't it? Every other day, some statements are made by Biden's administration or by these Brussels bureaucrats that they're gonna allocate another 2, another 4, another 15 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion. So therefore, I'm not at all surprised that Kyiv regime maybe no longer sees 1 billion as something of significance, you know. They get filthy rich, by the way, on expense of Western taxpayers. But anyways, let's go through this news for a little more details. Then we have a quote here. The US is the main beneficiary of this redistribution in the old world energy markets and the main sponsor of the Ukrainian crisis, Zakharova said on Thursday. The first victim of their predatory strategy was the largest European economy, Germany, Zakharova added, pointing out that the September 2022 bombing of the Nord Stream gas pipelines forced Berlin to buy American liquefied natural gas at significantly higher prices, which resulted in closures of many German industries. Now, there are other countries of the formerly economically successful and independent European Union will also be forced to pay their price for American patronage, the Russian diplomat said. And by the way, of course, US energy companies will benefit from this for a little while. And yet again, question is how much they can increase production of the liquefied natural gas, because according to some experts, yet again, this fracking revolution had it already, and limits are about to be reached, right? So at some point we will see probably decline of the volumes of production of this gas in US. Gas and also oil, by the way, that is also being produced as a result of this fracking technology. So therefore, obviously, US energy companies will benefit for time being from these processes, but also no one should forget about Norway, by the way. Norway is making a hell lot of money, right? Tons of money, by the way, since the booming of Nord Stream pipelines, because Norway used to be and still is their main European supplier of gas to EU member states, right? And it was like month or 2 months ago, I remember I was reporting about news that since the bombing of Nord Stream pipelines, Norway made extra 100 and something billion dollars, right? With as a result of increase of selling of the gas to European member states, right? So Norway is also a big beneficiary of these processes. Although, of course, Washington is orchestrating everything, not Norway's leadership. We all understand that. Anyways, we have also this report that Moldova, by the way, under control of Western Maya Sandu, is escalating with Russia, escalating with Transnistria. Well, rumors are circulating again on a Russian segment of internet that there might be conflict on the horizon between Tiraspol, capital of Transnistria, and Chisinau, capital of Moldova. That might happen. We might see kind of second front there against Russia, because one should keep in mind that Transnistrians see themselves as a part of Russian world, right? There is Russian peacekeepers there also. Well, now we have this report that Moldova is escalating with Russia in terms of economical relationships also. And reports are that more than 20 Russian avia companies may be banned from flying to Moldova. I mean, okay. Okay. Let's go through this news in little more detail. So the Ministry of Infrastructure of Moldova has proposed to introduce a ban on the operations of airlines from Russia and Armenia in order to comply with EU legislation. The ministry proposed banning the operations of airlines from more than 20 countries, including Russia and Armenia. RIA Novosti reports this step is aimed to bringing national legislation in line with the EU standards. The ministry explained the list also includes Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tanzania, Congo, Iran, Libya, and Sudan. So I mean, these psychos, you know, these psychos are doing what psychos are doing. By the way, I mean, they are going crazy and acting if they mean anything to anybody. I mean, Moldovan leadership is total nonsense, right? They are nobodies, literally nobodies, and will be nobodies forever, right? If you want to have a conversation about Moldova, you should talk to obviously Washington, Brussels, and also Bucharest, by the way, obviously, capital of Romania, because it is Romania, by the way, that pulling the strings there, right? Understandably so, because well, since collapse of Soviet Union, Romanian secret services were actively working to infiltrate Moldova and to generate as many assets there as they possibly could, because Moldova was a part of Romania, and Romanian elites, as far as I understand, have ambition to reclaim this territory, right? And therefore, yes, I mean, if you want to talk about Moldova, you better to talk about it with the leadership of Romania, for example, right? Because this Maya Sandu, this prostitute, means nothing. I mean, she is just a whore, right? Of the Brussels, and let's be clear, that's what she is, whore. Stupid fucking whore, man. That's it. And everybody around her, this so-called government of Moldova, is just a whores, man, that are working for CIA and Romanian secret services. That's all. They don't give a damn about people of Moldova, man. They are prostitutes that are doing whatever they are told to do by their clients. That's about it, man. You can understand that I have no respect to those dirty fucking animals that are formally in charge of Moldova, and I will never have any respect to such kind of creatures, man. Despicable garbage, you know. Anyways, let's continue. A few more news. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russia became a 7th country in the world when it comes to reserves, gold and monetary reserves. Let's go through some details here. Moldova, man. I mean, this quasi-state, by the way, nonsense, absolute nonsense, by the way, is acting as if, or leadership of Moldova, you know, acting if they really mean something. I mean, what the hell? Know your place, fucking bitches, man. In 2024, Russian ranked 7th in the world in terms of growth in gold and foreign exchange reserves, according to an analytics by RIA Novosti of data from National Central Bank of the 100 countries in this world, which at the end of December revealed data for September. Thus, at the end of September, the international assets of the world's central banks total to $14.3 trillion against 12.9 trillion a year earlier. Their absolute leader in this growth is China, with increased its reserves, which increased its reserves by 263 billion. Switzerland is in second place with an increase of 131.9 billion, followed by India with 118.1 billion in increase. Let's go through some more details here. Come on now. Germany's reserves for the year increased by 67.2 billion, France 66.1 billion, and Russia's reserves increased 64.7 billion. The top 10 also includes Singapore, Poland, and Brazil. Okay, so Russia is in top 10 on 7th place when it comes to reserves. All right, and by the way, I will end this update on this news, which is, I mean, this information is quite important as far as I understand, because even though Western propaganda was predicting that Russian economy gonna go, gonna collapse and gonna get destroyed and stuff, in reality, economy is doing quite okay, and so much so that Russia is actually increasing its gold and foreign exchange currency reserves for quite a significant amount, right? So Russia is not spending reserves to maintain economy. Economy is doing quite okay, so much so that Russia actually increases its reserves, right? So which once again indicates that all these attempts of the West to destroy Russian economy has failed. It is what it is. Few more news, dear friends. From coastal line of Kuban in southern Russia, 70,000 tons of contaminated soil was removed as a part of work to minimize or to deal with the emergency situation due to recent emergencies with 2 Russian tankers. Yesterday on one of the media outlets I saw news that as a result of that accidents in the Kerch Strait, when 2 Russian tankers sank, approximately 2.4 thousand tons of mazut oil product was expelled into sea. Overall, in these tankers, there was 9,000 tons, but I guess some tanks are still not damaged and are holding, and the Russian engineers probably will try to remove from those tanks oil to prevent further spill. But unfortunately, significant volume end up in the sea anyways. And now we have these reports that, well, just in Kuban area, 70,000 tons of contaminated soil was removed, and work is continuous. And I'm quite sure everything will be done to minimize damage that was done as a result of that accidents with the tankers, and the Russian southern regions will be ready to receive tourists for a summer, because tourism is one of the main source of income, obviously, for many locals there. And I will end this update, dear friends, on this news that 2024 was the warmest year ever recorded in Moscow. So the average annual temperature in Moscow for 2024 reached a record high of 8.2 degrees Celsius, marking it the warmest year in the city's 245-year meteorological history, according to the press service of the Moscow State University. And dear friends, I can tell you that winter, for example, is unusually warm, for sure. Here in Moscow right now, autumn was quite warm, and December, by the way, first month of the winter, was also warm, right? There was on occasions snow, right? At night time, some freezing temperatures like -3, -5, sometimes 10, but nothing extraordinary really. And I was surprised. I mean, I didn't expect this to be possible. I mean, on 31st of December, we had snow, right? Snowfall. And if not that, there would be no snow in Moscow, by the way, right? We had the snowfall on 31st of December. Of course, the snow is remains in some parks and squares, right? Where, I mean, real snow, it's still, I'm looking now, by the way, snow is still melting, right? So yes, warm December, unusually warm December for sure. And I guess this report is correct. And in 2024, Moscow experienced the warmest winter, or warmest year, not just winter, but year, in 245 year of meteorological history, man. That's quite a stuff, isn't it? But I guess in January we will see some good snowfall and good breathing weather. It's wonderful, by the way, isn't it, to go for a walk when it's like -10. It's a comfortable temperature, and when it's snowing, it's wonderful. I love winter, so therefore I'm a bit disappointed that there is not much snow until now. But anyways, this is it for now, dear friends. Sorry that I went off while talking about Moldova and their crazy leadership there. I don't like that stuff, but I cannot record this update from new. So therefore, my apologies that I get a little emotional while commenting on that. And hopefully, in general, you will find this update informative, interesting, useful. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything or any topic. This is the only way we can at least try to influence the algorithm. And dear friends, if you have not received notification from YouTube, and probably you did not, on 1st of January, I published a video that I made in Moscow from all these installations that are in a city. I recorded videos in like 10 different locations, maybe even more. It's a 30 minutes video, by the way, and whenever you have time, if you want to see how Moscow was greeting New Year, its residents, guests of the capital and the New Year, what kind of installations were in the city, you can check that video. And so yes, this is it for now. If you want to support, dear friends, if you like my work, my channels, all the links to my PayPal, Boosty, Patreon, and crypto wallet are under this video in description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day, wonderful, successful year, and take care.